I don't know whether Dan Ashworth is always cracked up to be. We're about to find out. I don't know whether Jason Wilcox is top drawer. We're about to find out. Is he ready to go with Southgate to the tournament?
Palmer might be one of the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah.
If you're Southgate. I've slipped up. And at this level, you can't afford to slip up at vital times.
Welcome to episode 18 of Souness and Simon.
I'm liking that, yeah.
Well, contribution last episode had some sizzle to it.
Did it?
So I figured that you merited the billing.
Is this our 18th?
18th.
Have you been paid yet?
No, but I think what happened was when I let an understudy and Jim White stand in, it was so bad that they've been holding it back in abeyance.
What, your payment?
Yeah.
Will you have a word on my behalf?
I'll look after your finances.
Yes, please.
That's what I'll do, yeah.
I've not seen any money yet, I don't think.
Right,
let's move on.
Nice to see you. Good to see you.
Quickly move on.
Tell me.
Jim Ratcliffe, Man Utd.
Yeah.
What do you make of his appointment so far? His moves so far?
Don't know, not sure. I mean, Dan Ashworth comes with a lot of credibility because people attribute a lot of intellectual capital to the things that he's done with St George's Park, with Newcastle's player acquisition policy, with certainly Brighton. Whole different set of rules at Manchester United, whole different set of expectations, whole different sort of methodologies.
Scrutiny.
But I think that Ratcliffe is a new broom. I mean, a lot's being attributed to him and what he's going to do. Clearly, the problem with Man United is on the pitch and in recruitment. You all talk about this repeatedly and endlessly about who people listen to. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know whether Dan Ashworth is always cracked up to be. We're about to find out. I don't know whether Jason Wilcox is top drawer. We're about to find out. But new brooms, sweep clean.
Is there a danger of doing too much too quickly?
Who? Ratcliffe?
Yeah.
Doing too much?
Yeah.
This needs cleaning out.
I'm asking that because I'm thinking of Ted Boy at Chelsea, where it was just,
right,
I've got a checkbook, I've got to use it.
Well, you can answer that question because it will always be, at the end of the day, who he listens to. Because if Jim Ratcliffe is the intellectual capital behind the acquisition policy of players alongside other people, then you're going to find yourself in a difficult situation. But no, I don't think so. I think United have got a cultural issue that will only be solved by recruitment of different players.
Did you, be honest with me, did you fall into a little bit of a trap? When you're young,
yeah,
you think you know everything about everything. And
that sounds like a Souness trait.
Yeah,
at any age.
I'm guilty. And you're bold and you're brave and nothing's a problem and you're right all the time. Did you fall into a bit of that trap when you were an owner?
No.
In terms of who you listen to?
No, not really. Because I started from a distrustful point of view of everybody in every conversation. And what I actually did was I wanted my football people, in the instance of Steve Coppell, to help me and to give me guidance and to tell me what we should be doing. And what I didn't get was any of that going on. Maybe that was a personality clash that didn't allow it. But no, that's stupidity. You will have decision-making processes about the commerciality of a deal, and you're not going to go to a football manager and go, how much money should I pay him?
See, a club like United, you've got to delegate. You know, it's such a big job.
Got to delegate.
Yeah, but United especially.
What do you
Everything's 10 times bigger than anywhere else.
Well, that's the scrutiny and the expectation. That's why the question about Ratcliffe and his appointments will only be borne out by what they do, because ultimately no one's been under that scrutiny.
Yeah, you see, he's obviously a super smart man in his field.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be the first. It was a Sunday Times journalist once wrote that, smart businessmen buy football clubs and leave the brains at the door.
Yeah. Yeah, and how do you make a small fortune in football start with a big one?
Yeah.
All of these analogies have resonance, but it's not about making mistakes, great. It's about how quickly you
learn,
respond from them, and don't do them again.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
You know who did that?
Who?
Abramovich. He had a sort of first year where he was listening to the wrong people.
What? When he had Ranieri in there for the first season?
Yeah, and he bought the player from Man United, the midfield player, the Argentinian.
Juan Sebastian Veron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made a few mistakes,
yeah.
But he quickly learned. And then that's a sign of someone who's smart.
Well, that is the ultimate defining. You can't point me to yourself, well, you probably think you can, or to anybody else that's never made a mistake in their life. Because if you point me to someone that's never made a mistake, I'll point back and say they've never tried anything. So it's not about making mistakes. It's about what you do quickly afterwards. You've got the young boy Mainoo coming through.
Not ready yet.
Not ready yet.
You're going to say play for England?
I'm going to say, is it a conversation that should be had, given the fact he's gotten into the England squad? Is he ready to go with Southgate to the tournament? Is it worth him going there to get his teeth cut and be part of an environment? Or are you all business for this tournament if you're Gareth Southgate?
All business.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ready, and I think the boy Cole Palmer's.
You think he's ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's further down that road. Different player, goal scorer. I mean, if you were going tomorrow, if you were this weekend, you were picking a group of players. Cole Palmer might be one of the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah.
If you're Southgate,
yeah.
If you were going to Germany this weekend or not announcing a squad this weekend, he would be one of the first names on the team sheet. He's been outstanding.
I kind of had reservations about him initially because I thought there's no way that Guardiola just lets him go because he can't manage the kids' expectations. And then I've seen in the last 6 weeks an acceleration in Cole Palmer. I thought he was doing well, but in recent performance, he's gone to a different level.
Yeah. He's like that first goal he
Against
scored against Everton, where he's nutmeg, Braithwaite, and then the ball's bubbled around a bit and he's backheeled it and then he ends up getting it back. He sorts his feet out and picks a corner with his left foot. Yeah. He's top notch. And then other times he's just been in the right place at the right time. So he's got that sixth sense what all the great strikers have. Anyway, you spent time with Daniel Levy recently. Yep. Is he a mate? Do you like him?
I do. I didn't when I was in football. I didn't enjoy some of the antics that Tottenham tried to get up to with a couple of my players, Wayne Routledge and Andrew Johnson. But over the years, I respect his acumen. I know that you'll point to an empty trophy cupboard and say, well, that's wonderful. No one's going to remember you for a great balance sheet.
What are you pointing at? Is business acumen?
I think if you look at the job that he should have, which is maintaining Tottenham Hotspur's financial stability, building, come on, let's have it right. He built £1.4 billion stadium, which no one's seen the like of. They might see it in the Middle East with their plans for the Middle East and what we're seeing that potentially is going to be developed over there. But as far as Tottenham Hotspur as a financial business that give themselves an opportunity to be successful, I think Daniel is beyond reproach there. Whether taking content and taking economically.
Do you have to be a genius?
Yeah,
to build a stadium at a big London football club.
Do you have to be
in the Premier League this year?
Well,
this time.
Well, I'll tell you why you have to be relatively bright. And I'm not suggesting he's a genius. I'm suggesting he's very good. Is you have to work the engineering out and how you're going to structure it and how
you just get the best consultants.
No.
And he has access to the best knowledge in terms of funding.
Not
and Joe Lewis.
Not the engineering.
Are you allowed to swear in this programme?
Not the engineering.
Can we bleep him?
Not
do you know he swore
the engineering to the stadium, you Luddite. I meant the financial engineering.
Oh, sorry. So he doesn't have access to those people through Joe Lewis.
So he gets cheap money. He gets cheap money
from
the government.
So he's got cheap money when there was cheap money.
He utilises the NFL to get some significant contribution there. He monetises every aspect of the stadium by suggesting that the F1 relationship, he utilises it. If it's so easy, why isn't every other bugger doing it?
Building a new stadium in London when interest rates were low and you could borrow money very cheaply and tapping into the NFL and tapping into any grants that the government or our government were offering.
He got cheap COVID-backed money.
Yeah. So COVID was kind to him.
Still had to do it.
I'm a football person. You're a businessman. I'm not a businessman. I don't think building a stadium in London for a big Premier League team is rocket science.
I think in London it's probably one of the most difficult places to do it because you're not given any help.
I suppose my criticism of him would be there could be a bit of that and a bit of winning trophies. 2 League Cups in his tenure ain't enough.
No, I agree. And that's enough. And that will always be a rock that we can hurl at him, right? Because I said to him the other day in a conversation that we had, it's wonderful, you've got a very big bank balance, but you've got an empty trophy cupboard. How do you odds that? And how do you countenance the argument? And his response is that ultimately, I'm disappointed. I'm not happy with the outcomes of results and I want us to win leagues. But in order to if Daniel is doing his job properly now, right, and all the lessons and all the criticism, and he's built an economic base that should enable Tottenham Hotspur to spring off because he's built a 1.4 billion stadium, not as a tribute to himself, as a revenue generator. Now, if they don't harness that revenue and turn it into trophies in the next 5 years, then we should be saying to Daniel Levy, what's the purpose of this?
So when does that moment come where it's not always building your asset value, because in the back of your mind, maybe in this case, in front of his mind, he's looking to punt it, all of it or some of it.
Business.
When does that? priority, when does that not become the priority? And it's all about, let's go out on a limb, let's, give the manager.
Well,
It's never, and I know this for a fact, Spurs don't never buy the finished article.
Well,
they buy players that they think they can create value in. So they buy
possibly
a younger player.
Possibly.
They think we'll bring him on by playing in the Premier League right away. His value goes up if he shows anything at all.
I would say to you, the one time Daniel Levy let his manager have absolute opportunity to spend the money was the Gareth Bale money, which is no different to what Liverpool did. Let me finish the point. Liverpool funded the acquisition of 2 key players, Virgil van Dijk and the goalkeeper, right, out of Coutinho money.
Coutinho, right? Got a chunk of change.
And Tottenham and AVB were given the Bale money, and they threw it up against the wall, and they got very little value for it. And I think
we've got Ericsson out of that group.
Well, yeah, he's the one exception, right? But notably, they didn't kick on as a team and win leagues and the opposition or win cups and opportunities. And I'm not here to defend Daniel Levy. I think as a commercial operator, there are very few better. I don't think the reputation of being the deal maker and everything, when you've got a player like Gareth Bale and every bugger in the world wants him, all you got to do is sit there, keep saying no until eventually you find yourself in a situation where you feel obliged to say yes because they've offered so much bloody money. So I don't sit there saying that Daniel Levy is the deal maker extraordinaire, but commercially, I think that he's got most things right. But moving off the commercial debate between you and I, because I think there's always this argument about sporting meritocracy against competing in a league and just deciding to get the Premier League money. Where are you on Spurs on the pitch with Ange and where they are currently? Because there's a little bit of criticism coming Postecoglou's way in recent weeks, especially with a 4-0 spanking they got at Newcastle.
Yeah.
Is he naive?
He comes across really well. I'm not one for sitting on the fence. I think he was naive. Was it against Chelsea when was it 3 players sent off?
Yeah, but wasn't that a cultural thing?
And you're still trying to hold a high line.
Wasn't that a cultural
It's very
thing,
simple, and I'll give you a coaching lesson.
Thank you.
You can hold a high line
alongside the financial one I just gave you.
Yes. So that I'm reciprocating.
Thank you.
So you can hold a high line when the ball is under pressure. What member of your team is putting the ball under pressure, you can hold a high line. When you go down, when you've lost 3 players,
you can't.
You can't hold a high line.
Yeah.
Because the ball will not always be under pressure.
But did you not think, Graeme, that point he was making?
And if you watch that game, they could have scored a lot of goals, Chelsea, that day.
They could indeed. And it was only because of the profligacy of Jackson that they did, right? But wasn't that about a cultural point with the Tottenham players, that you've had a lot here where you've got a very different mentality to the one I want you to have? So what I'm going to do is I'm prepared to be so brave that when it comes on top...
They could have conceded 7 goals.
But it didn't.
But they could have.
But
going down that road.
But am I barking up the wrong tree by saying his point was, I want you to play a certain way, even when it doesn't suit us. Well, and then when it does suit us, you'll have learnt the culture, you'll have got the culture, then we won't have to do it.
You see, this is the way I think it works. You walk into a football club, you've got a group of players, and you think, I know how to get the best out of this group of players. Yeah. So he's done that, extremely brave, wants them to be a front foot team, press from the front, and by and large, they've been a good watch. Yeah. But they still have their vulnerabilities. And what I'm saying is there's more than one way, unless you've got the very best players, and a lot of them, you can't play like that from the first day of the season to the last.
Yeah, it's just interesting because you saw Conte, and without betraying confidences, when he set the place on fire, he pretty much told people that either everybody in that dressing room was a waste of time, including the centre forward.
That's a
and
good
didn't
idea.
Have the culture for Tottenham Hotspur to ever win anything. They had a loser's mentality. Mm-hmm. So I kind of think that Postecoglou was doing something different to try and create a different culture, but we can debate that till the cows come home. What about across London with the Kroenkes? Before the European Super League came about, there was this image of Silent Stan, the billionaire that was comfortable with
turned up 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, and now they've got the fan base on side. You think? Because I think Arsenal are rocking now, aren't they?
Oh no,
with their fans.
Is it because I know where you're going with this? You're putting it down to them suddenly taking an interest, or Stan taking an interest because of this possibility of a European Super League. Did that not coincide, and you tell me if I'm wrong, with his son getting involved at Arsenal?
I think it's a bit of both. I think what happened after the European Super League, Stefan Eck, I think it was, the guy that owned Spotify, came out and said, I'll have your football club for 2.5 billion quid.
Swedish player.
Yeah, Swedish fella. And I thought the Kroenkes looked at Arsenal like an arm's length subsidiary of the the Colorado Rapids or the LA team that they've got, and all of a sudden, Arsenal are a big side.
So you saw a financial awakening.
Bit of both. I think they got vilified about the European Super League, and all of a sudden, this propensity to pay bigger wages and pay bigger transfer fees come overnight. £200 million a season, every season for the last 3 seasons. That wasn't what Arsenal were doing up until that point.
Well, with Wenger, that would have been his
money for heaven, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would have been his beef. No, I think they're going in the right direction. They've got a very good manager. They're near this year. I mean, still.
Yeah. Do you think it's a
there's
failure?
Still five games to go, 6 games to go. So it's still not impossible that they could win the Premier League.
Yeah.
But they're certainly a better team this year than they were this time last year. But of course, they spent over 200 million. They should be.
Because I said that last year in this delightful paper that you and I both wrote for, Mr. Clayton. I said that Arsenal would spend 250 million quid to stand still. And if they finish second in the league, which they may well do this year, and don't win anything else, is this standing still? Have they progressed? And is it, as some people will say in the media, it's a failure, they haven't won anything?
No, I don't see it like that. You know, because the hardest thing to win is a league. Right now, they've been in against 2 other very good teams, in Liverpool and City, and they've slipped up. And at this level, you can't afford to slip up at vital times. But I have to also say they could still end up winning it. You know, there's no.
Do you expect them to? Do you think City?
No, I think City with their experience, and more importantly, the depth of squad, they just have, Justy says, just have to win every single game. But would I be surprised? At a surprise? No. Would I be surprised at a surprise? No. But then you come back to the cup competitions. So Arsenal end up empty-handed. You need a wee bit of luck in a cup competition. And they've not had that. But I think if you're an Arsenal supporter, you'd be delighted with your lot. Not delighted, you'd be happy, but you believe you're going in the right direction.
Well, I mean, Glenn, there's 6 games left at the time we're recording this, so we'll see. It's a huge summer for Fenway. Who do you think replaces Klopp?
I'm not sure what direction they'll go in. I mean, there's no obvious candidate. I think
that was insightful.
I think, let me finish. I think Alonso would have been the obvious choice with his history at the football club, success he's enjoyed. He's decided to stay put. I don't think there's any standout candidate after that. I think the guy at Sporting, Lisbon, I think he's 39. That's very young to be a manager of a big football club.
Yeah.
De Zerbi, does he come into it? Understands the game, plays the game the way they would want to play, the way that Liverpool have been playing under. I see that smile.
My arse off.
I know.
Goes to Liverpool after what you said about him going to Brighton.
Then I'm proved right again.
Right?
Then I'm proved right. What was my beef about him?
He had lots of different clubs like you.
Yeah.
Did,
so
right?
then I would win. Yet again, I would win an argument with you.
Right, okay.
But it would just prove he doesn't stay anywhere too long.
Irony if De Zerbi landed at Liverpool. That's my point. Given the fact that you were,
that I said he doesn't stay anywhere too long. I wasn't criticised. I didn't know him to criticise him.
Okay. There's a lot of pressure on Michael Edwards now, isn't there? Because a lot's being made of his role and how important it's going to be. And most people probably didn't even know his name 12 months ago. He's kind of be getting painted as someone that's going to fix all the potential ills of Liverpool. That's a big job. We're talking about what Jim Ratcliffe's trying to do at Man United.
But they've got a better squad.
You reckon?
Johnny Evans at 38 playing for Man United. I really thought he was a fabulous player. I had a problem keeping himself fit when he was first time at Man United and then went on his travels to West Brom, then Leicester. He was a fabulous player, really good defender for the modern game in terms he could take the ball and make passes and he sensed danger.
Michael Edwards?
I'm getting to it. I was explaining the situation with Man United right now when we saw them down to the bones in the semi-final against Coventry. That was them. We more or less saw every player that was capable of playing in the first team, apart from the ones who were injured. Not a very healthy situation. You compare that to Liverpool, the kids they brought in for the League Cup final against Chelsea, and I think when you look at the senior players,
Bradley,
you see the senior players at Liverpool, they've got better senior players. So I think as difficult it would be from the new manager and Michael Edwards and his team, and the guy from my old team Bournemouth. I think it's a healthier situation at Liverpool than it is at Man United right now.
Well, time will tell. That's it for episode 18. of Souness.
Well done.
Simon. You should be doing the top and tail list because you've got the billing, but I have to do all the heavy lifting.
Right, that's it for episode 18 of Souness and Simon. We'll see you again soon.